Welcome in to Calling the Shots, presented by Blue Shark Vodka, the smoothest vodka in the world. This is Calling the Shots. I'm your host, Ross Martin. As always, joined by former UNC linebacker Jeff Schottmer. Jeff, what's up, man?
What's up, Ross? Happy Monday. Happy Monday to all Tar Heel fans, Coastal champs. Hope you guys booked your tickets to Charlotte. We've kind of been telling you to do that a couple weeks ago. So hopefully you finally now it's official. So go ahead and book.
Yeah, Tar Heels defeat Wake Forest on the road 36-34 to move to 9-1 on the season, 6-0 in the ACC, and a crazy 6-0 undefeated record on the road in the regular season. That's outstanding. Another come from behind. They were trailing in the second half, shut out Wake Forest in the fourth quarter, and really the difference was the interception and field goal that put UNC up 36-34. First, Jeff, I want to talk to you. You said you didn't watch much of the game live because you were getting honored by your high school. Tell us about that. I want to kind of go into the Jeff Schottmer high school career here for a second.
So I got inducted to my high school Hall of Fame this weekend. Pretty cool honor. So it's funny because two guys in my current high school class, Jordan Spieth and Josh Bell, who are both, playing in their professional ranks, they actually were in the same class and they didn't get inducted this week. So I kind of have a leg up on them, and I can, talk some crap to them that I got inducted in the Hall of Fame before them. They had some prior obligations. They couldn't make it. That's why they weren't. Obviously, they are way more qualified, way more talented than me, but it was a cool honor.
Who's the other guy? You said not Spieth, the other guy?
Josh Bell. He's the starting first baseman for the Padres.
Gotcha. So were you really – sorry, go ahead.
Coach Fedora showed up, so him and his wife showed up, so that was pretty cool. So, I just want to give him a shout out. He was my head coach for 4 years, and I got to coach under him for a year, and he's just a great man. And he had some ups and downs at Carolina, but the fact that he, I invited him to my high school Hall of Fame ceremony, and he showed up with his wife was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Were you really good in high school? What kind of high school player were you?
I played safety. I was a really good player. I was first team all district. I was all state my senior year, but I played football, basketball, and baseball, all through high school. And I was all district in all three sports, which hasn't been done at my high school in a while. So I was a good basketball player. Baseball was probably my best sport, but it was boring.
What'd you play in baseball position?
Third base, outfield, but mostly third.
Okay. What'd you play in basketball?
Basketball, I was point guard, shooting guard.
Damn.
I was 180 pounds, 175 pounds.
Yeah. I imagine you being Letterman's jacket, slamming the locker, getting your books, like the big man on campus, star linebacker, star point guard, or star safety.
No, definitely not.
All right, let's get into it. Congrats to Jeff being honored by his high school. But we got bigger things to talk about, man. UNC Coastal champions. Feels like 2015. Jeff, the starting linebacker on that team. UNC clinches the Coastal. Kind of unbelievable from kind of where this team was after the Notre Dame loss, all the defensive talk to now be 9-1. It's crazy to say, with a chance to go 10-1. Obviously could go 11-1 with NC State losing to Boston College, and they've punched their ticket to Charlotte to play Clemson. Just in general, Jeff, your thoughts on where this team is right now at 9-1?
I still feel like we haven't played our best game yet, which is exciting to see. There have been games where, our offense has completely carried us. There's been games where our defense has played a lot better than they have. But it's just timely plays that our team keeps making. Obviously we're led by Heisman candidate Drake Maye, and UNC has officially launched his campaign, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But with him in the game, we always have a chance to win. And, our defense, while they're criticized heavily and they give up a lot of yards and they've been giving up points, the second half of games this year, they've really helped us win games. They've made timely, turnovers and stops. And it's honestly just a team effort. To be able to go 6-0 on the road is pretty incredible, especially for a program. We went over a calendar year without having a road win. So to be able to flip the script, especially with a young, unproven quarterback going into the season as Drake, now obviously he's one of the GOATs at Carolina already. But it's just been fun to watch as a fan. Obviously, it's frustrating at times, and it causes a lot of heartache, and it's nerve-wracking, and it takes some years off your life. But we should be very proud of these guys. They're well deserving. The coaching staff's done a great job. So much props to all those guys.
It is really fun. Speaking from a fan perspective, it's football is so much different than basketball. For some, it's just winning in football because there's only 12 games, and because it's not as expected as basketball. Winning in football just feels different. I mean, the games are exciting for UNC. The offense is awesome, but you always know it's going to be pretty tight come fourth quarter. You only get 12 of them. So it's not like you're playing crappy teams in November and December like the basketball team is. And so winning in football just hits different. Yeah. Obviously you have a completely different perspective, but from a fan perspective, a winning football team, it's just way more fun than I think for UNC than a winning basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, you see in the social media videos they post after the game of the locker room content. I mean, the pure joy in those guys' faces and the coaches' faces, it's unexplainable. It's hard to replicate, and it's just like natural energy you get after you win a game, and especially on the road. You talk to any college football player, and although they love playing at home, winning on the road just hits different. It really does, because you got your select group of fans that come to the game, so you're celebrating with them, and then you get back in the locker room, and you're just in a different environment, and you're just on cloud nine on any game you win. And our guys are so deserving of it. They found a way to pull out a close one again. But like you said, to compare it to basketball, there's 30 plus games. Like each game in a college football season, just the magnitude of it is so much bigger because it truly affects the outlook and the whole direction of the season.
Yeah, and UNC checks in at number 11 in the coaches poll, number 13 in the AP poll, and of course the college football playoff rankings come out on Tuesday. I mean, it's going to be tough to get into the college football playoff. They have an outside chance. I think what's even more exciting is not more exciting, but Drake Maye's Heisman chances continue to rise. We'll talk more about that. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the show here. Jeff wants to talk about the defense. We're going to go defense heavy first. Then we'll get into some offensive stuff, including formation diversity, Drake Maye, tight ends, and we'll get into our players of the game, look ahead to Georgia Tech, and get out of here. Jeff, start with the defense. We'll go through a couple different topics as the show rolls on.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I want to talk about, I want to give them credit. They are a resilient bunch. They have amnesia, and here's what I mean by that. They let up, 27 points, 21 points in the first half, and they're a team that just they forget bad things happen. So, they let up all these yards and all these points, but once the second half comes, they make corrections, they make adjustments, and they find ways to make stops when they need it at times. Like looking at the fourth quarter, we go in there, we don't allow a single point. We get a giant turnover from Cam Kelly. Most teams and defenses in that scenario, they've let up a bunch of points. They kind of lose confidence in themselves. But our team, they forget all the bad happens and just go out and play the next series, which I can really appreciate as a fan and as a former coach. So they don't hang their heads. They just, they go back out there and forget what happened the drive before and go, still have confidence in themselves. And it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, so in the fourth quarter, Wake Forest had 3 drives. The first one ended in the red zone on a fourth down. UNC stopped Sam Hartman on 4th and 20, kind of fumbled it, and UNC took over 4th and 3. They failed to get it. UNC had a short drive. They had a punt it, and then Wake Forest takes it over with 5:47 left, and that's when Sam Hartman threw the interception to Cam Kelly. UNC kicks a field goal. They have one more drive, Wake Forest does. It's another fourth down fail. So 3 drives by Wake Forest and 3 stops by the Tar Heels, and that was a huge difference there. All right, pressure. It seemed like UNC brought a lot more pressure in this game to try to bother Sam Hartman. Your thoughts on that? The fans, everybody's like, bring more pressure. It seems like when they did, it didn't work as much as fans would have liked.
Yeah, just from my, watching the game tape, just we did bring more pressure, more 5- and 6-man pressures, and we even brought a 7-man pressure, cover 0 pressure that I don't think we've done earlier this year. And we had mixed results. And honestly, some of the time, the majority of the time we brought pressure, it wasn't successful for us. I can think of 2 instances in the game where we brought a cover 0 pressure, or cover 0 blitz, which is we're bringing one more defender than they have eligible to block us. So all the DBs that are covering the eligible receivers, they're in man-to-man with no post safety help, no other help. So it's just them one-on-one with no help in between, and we're bringing 7 guys to try to hit the quarterback, and the quarterback's got to get the ball out quick because they don't have enough blockers to block us. And on 2 of those instances, they throw a quick pass. Our DB misses the tackle, and they take it 40+ yards. So, pressure it's very fickle. You can obviously when you hit home, it's great, but when a quarterback's able to see it and get the ball out quick, and we don't get there as the pressure, then it puts our DBs in a tough situation, because if they don't get the receiver on the ground right away, it's a very explosive play because there's no other help and everyone else is in man coverage with their eyes on their man.
Yeah, I mean, pressure's great when it gets there, but it has to get there to be successful. UNC still, 2 TFLs, 1 sack, only 4 quarterback hurries. By comparison, Wake Forest had 6 quarterback hurries on UNC. They had 5 tackles for a loss and 3 sacks. So the pressure is still not getting there. UNC is not getting those negative plays on defense. All right, next up, you want to talk about the secondaries being forced to tackle, how offenses are attacking UNC?
Yeah, so just the last couple of weeks, I think our opponent offenses are doing a good job scheming up runs and making our secondary, especially our boundary safety and our corners, tackle the run game. If obviously you can watch our defense for 10 games now, and that the top 3 coverages we play. So offenses and offensive coordinators are smart. They know how that we fit runs. So what they're going to do is scheme up runs to make our safeties and our corners tackle, because they're our worst tacklers, out of the bunch. Our 2 best tacklers are the linebackers, obviously. So they're scheming up runs to make sure that they fit their gaps, but they aren't the primary defender to tackle the ball carrier. And what Wake Forest did a bunch was they would to the boundary, and we talked a little about field boundary stuff earlier this year. They would cut the split of the receiver to the boundary, and they would run the ball into the boundary, and the receiver would go crack the safety because they knew he was in the run fit. So the receiver would take an inside release and go crack the safety. So now in that instance, the cornerback has to come off, and now he's the primary defender to tackle the running back. So you saw a bunch in the game where Wake Forest would run the ball into the boundary, and the cornerback would have to come off his receiver and try to make a tackle on the running back, which wasn't successful for us. I feel like anytime Wake Forest would run, inside runs or gap scheme plays where the linebackers were the primary defender to tackle, they didn't have an explosive run over 10 yards, but they hit us on some runs when they forced our safeties and our corners to tackle. So as credit to Wake, they've run the similar scheme for the last couple of years now. So I think that's something to look forward going forward is just our secondary and our corners. They have to be able to tackle in the run game, and they haven't really progressed this year. And that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, it's just like the angles too. I feel like Cam Kelly, Biggers, or some of the other corners are out of position. Like they're not in a position to make a good full body tackle. It's usually arm tackles that are usually broken. You saw that a bunch 3rd, 4th quarter, and then Cam Kelly comes with an interception, completely redeems himself, which is good to see. Kind of Shakespearean there. People were hating on Cam Kelly because of all the missed tackles leading to big chunk yardage, and he makes the interception. So that was good to see for him. Of course, he had 2 interceptions of Sam Hartman last year against Wake in UNC's win there. Did you want to talk about the 4th? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about Cam, that play especially. Yeah. Like that one instance is kind of like how it describes our whole defense perfectly. Cam, misses a tackle on a pressure earlier in the game, and they get a 48-yard, gain out of it. But he's unfazed. Like his confidence is still sky high. And if you talk to Cam, nothing will faze that kid. And he's a very confident kid. And he had the ability to forget all the bad stuff that happened earlier in the game and then go make the biggest play of the game. Wake Forest is driving down the field, and I would like to talk to one of our coaches and see what coverage we were in there, because I went back and watched it on film, and it looked like we were in a man concept, and Cam was either doubling the slot to the field, or he was like a robber safety, just cutting in breaking routes. But Cam initially started to the field side on the slot receiver, and then as Sam Hartman was going through his progressions, he followed the quarterback's eyes and moved 10 to 12 yards to the boundary, and beautiful timing, and made the right play and caught the ball. It's a hard catch, and you see, like we talk about all the time, most DBs, they drop those, and Cam, caught it and gained 20 plus yards on it. So give him a bunch of credit for that.
Yeah, we talked about after the game. He said they were in cover one man.
Okay.
And then, he undercut the pass play. He said he was reading the quarterback's eyes, like you said, and just kind of, you see these plays happen throughout the game. You finally kind of get a read for what the quarterback's doing, and he made the play. And you're right, man. So many times they drop these balls, and Cam's been pretty sure-handed. He's had a couple interceptions in his career, at least 4, I think now, maybe 5. So good for him.
It's funny that they're in cover one, and Cam Kelly is 7 yards from the line of scrimmage. And normally when you talk to defensive coordinators, if you watch the NFL, like if they're playing cover one, the middle safety is 20 yards deep, because he's got to be able to affect all these throws. But I guess we were teaching our guys, they're running more intermediate throws on that down and distance. So Cam was just sitting there in essentially like a robber position. So, good job for our coaches for scheming that up, and great play by Cam.
Yeah. All right. The fourth downs, third down conversions, what UNC did on defense there against Wake Forest?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at our defensive statistics, so our defense was 3 of 12 on third down, meaning Wake Forest didn't convert 9 third downs, which in college football, if you're under 33%, you're in the top, 10% of the country. And so those are great stats. But what we got was a taste of our own medicine, and now Wake was going for it on fourth down and converting a bunch. They were 4 of 6 on third down, and 3 of those fourth down conversions, they turned into 21 points. So normal, and some of them were when they were backed up on their own side of the field. So our defense did a great job of getting off the field on third down, but Wake was going for it on 4th and 2 and 4th and 3 and 4th and 4, and ultimately converting those, fourth downs and then turning them into points. So I think our numbers and our statistics get skewed a little bit, because in a normal opponent, maybe we're off the field, Wake Forest is punting, but they were aggressive and they went for it. And, anytime an offense gets 4 downs to score or to get 10 yards, it's way harder on a defense. It affects your play calling. So give Wake Forest a bunch of credit, because, they took advantage of those fourth downs that they converted and turned them into points, kind of like our offense has been doing all year.
Yeah. So, and UNC converted 10 of 16 third downs. Wake Forest only 3 of 12, like Jeff said. Fourth downs, UNC was 0 for 2 on fourth downs. We'll talk about that. And then Wake Forest was 4 for 6. All right, that's the defensive portion of the show. Let's do an ad read, and then we'll get into offense. Guys, Blue Shark Vodka, want to appreciate Connor Barth and the whole family at Blue Shark Vodka for supporting Calling the Shots, for supporting On the Beat, and the Scoop podcast, Inside Carolina. Check them out. Available at all 100 counties, ABC stores, and the smoothest vodka in the world. A little holiday cocktail for you here, Jeff. Ready? Vodka, Blue Shark Vodka, ginger ale, cranberry juice, sliced oranges, and some cranberries in there. Works for Thanksgiving or Christmas. A little Thanksgiving punch there for the family. Check that out. Smoothest vodka in the world, independent, locally owned, just like Inside Carolina. So we support those companies like Johnny T-Shirt and Blue Shark Vodka. You're supporting local independent companies who support us, a locally family-owned company. We appreciate their support. Blue Shark Vodka. Check them out. Try it. It's very accessible price point, and very accessible in all 100 North Carolina counties. All right. Offense. A lot to talk about here. Obviously it's the same thing. It's Drake Maye and Josh Downs. Some stats here as we get rolling. Drake Maye, 31 for 49 for 448 yards. Massive game for him through the air. 3 touchdowns through the air, 63% completion percentage. He ran the ball 19 times. Of course, that includes sacks and tackles, for 71 yards. He did have the touchdown as well. And the Heisman campaign, I think UNC was kind of just waiting to make sure He was still on track, and it seems like I think he's got the third highest odds now. I have it right in front of me here, actually. This is FanDuel Sports. CJ Stroud is plus 150. Hendon Hooker is plus 400. Blake Corum, which I think is a Michigan running back,
Yep.
is plus 500. And Drake Maye is plus 500. Kalen Williams is plus 1,200. Stetson Bennett, the fourth, is plus 1,400. Translate those odds for those who don't sports bet, Jeff.
So who was the favorite? It was CJ?
CJ Stroud plus 150.
So that means he's by far and away the betting favorite, meaning if you bet $100, your returns will be you'll win $150. So just a standard unit in betting is $100. So just if it's plus 1,400, meaning you bet $100 to win $1,400. And then if it's say Drake Maye was minus 200 to win the Heisman right now, that would mean you would have to bet $200 to win $100.
Yeah, I always get confused because it's like counterintuitive a little bit. You have to switch your mindset when it's minus versus plus. All right. Not a big sports bet over here. All right, let's get into it. I know you have a lot of things to talk about. Formation diversity, Drake Maye, wide receivers, tight ends. Let's just start with Drake Maye. You see anything different from him? Heisman campaign's kicking off. Kind of odd, a mid-season Heisman campaign. Redshirt freshman, never played a game, now has 10 starts. He is getting so much social media buzz. UNC released kind of their official Drake Maye for Heisman hashtag video that went out on social media, kind of kick off that campaign. 2 regular season games left. We have a chance on national stage against NC State, which is on ABC, and then against Clemson, which will be a high-profile 8 p.m. night game. Your thoughts on what Drake Maye did against Wake and in general about his season in this Heisman campaign?
Yeah, I mean, he's not only putting the most prolific single season in UNC history together, he's putting one of the most special, seasons in ACC history and even college football history. What he's doing, how easy he's making it look. He's just so efficient with the ball. He can run, he can throw. He's not turning the ball over. That's the biggest thing that you look for in a young quarterback is, they can make those great plays, but he's limiting the negative plays, the bad plays, the catastrophic plays. He's not giving the ball back to the other team. He's taking care of the ball. He's obviously moving the ball at will, and he's putting the ball in the end zone. He's throwing touchdowns. He's running touchdowns. He's rushing touchdowns. He's doing everything. And if you look at the Heisman, I think part of it is obviously statistics. Another factor is, your team's record and your team's ranking. And I think another thing that's underrated is the wow factor of the play. And if you watch Drake, he has that wow factor. Obviously, he's so efficient and he makes things look so easy, but he makes some plays that you're just like, there's very few people in college football can make. And there's one play in particular, I think it was the second half, and Wake Forest was bringing a bunch of pressure all night, and they have a free rusher at Drake, and he eludes one defender, and he's rolling out to his left, and he's scrambling a little bit. He's at like midfield, and another defender is coming right in his face, and his body is completely running to the left. Mm-hmm. He stops his feet, pivots, and throws back across his body. I think it was to J.J. Jones. Yep. And it was, a 25-yard throw on the money with a defender in his face when his whole body and his momentum is going left, away from his throwing arm. It's just like, plays like that are incredible to see, but he does them every game. And if you were to watch all of his games, like he's doing something like that every game. So he has that wow factor to step himself up in the Heisman rankings.
Yeah, that video was going around social media yesterday. I retweeted it. I think Bryn Renner liked my tweet. That was big for me. Okay. He has such athletic arm talent, like you said, like the tough throws when your momentum's going one way or the other way, and you're throwing the opposite way. That's what stands out. And I don't know if the common fan recognizes those throws because they happen, 2 or 3 times throughout the game. And when you first watch the game, I don't know if you necessarily see that, but then going back, man, that's an amazing throw. And it's all there. It's the deep throws are there now, the intermediate throws, the tough throws, and then on these short throws, the tough, 20-yard out to your running back, they're on point with the velocity that's necessary to get there. A couple of those to Elijah Green in this game. It's all there. and I'm excited to see what happens. I think he has a pretty good chance he'll get invited to New York. I think if he consistently puts up the numbers, have a couple high profile games like we said, still gets 2 or 3. You have to believe that the numbers will keep growing. He's been so consistent. That's the thing. He hasn't had a bad game.
No.
I think Notre Dame was probably his worst game.
And he had 5 touchdowns.
Against Notre Dame?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Well, he's had 2 or 3, it seems, in every game. He has a running touchdown here and there. The numbers are very consistent, and like you said, yeah, the no interceptions is huge. What up?
So I did some research. I think the Heisman made a rule starting last year that they're automatically going to invite 4 guys to the Heisman. So the top 4 vote getters are automatically going to go. I think in years past they've had 3, maybe sometimes 4, maybe 5, but it's automatically 4 this year. And I think there's only 5 guys, in my opinion, in the country right now that have a chance to win it. And that's CJ Stroud, it's Corum, the running back, it's Hooker, it's Drake, and Caleb Williams. So he just has to, beat out one of those guys to get the top 4 spot. But he is, in my opinion, it's him and CJ Stroud are the 2 most deserving. So, he's in the top 5 right now, and all he's got to do is, elevate 1 spot, or if he's in the top 3 right now to get to New York.
Yeah, and UNC has to keep winning too. I think if they lose a game,
absolutely,
they have to win out the next 2 games. I think, and then I think Clemson could be his shot for announcing himself to the national public. If he can win that game, that would be huge. Make the big plays late in the game to help UNC win. Yeah. I'm not sure about when the votes go in. That's another point, because the ceremony.
I think it's the day after the ACC championship.
I think it's the weekend after. Are you talking about when the votes go in?
Yeah. So I'm saying they'll include the ACC championship in their voting process.
If people hold their votes, I think it opens up at some point, and some people don't wait. So and then the ceremony is the next Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, Drake Maye. All right, offensive formations, Jeff.
Yeah, and I was there on staff when Coach Longo first got hired, and just to see the evolution of his offense over the last 4 years is so cool to see. Because when we first got there, he essentially had 3 formations. He had a 2x2 set with no tight end in the core, a 3x1 set with the tight end in the core, and then 3x1 with everyone removed from the core. And that was really his offense. He would just run those 3 formations. And now he's completely transitioned into, he's running 10 to 15 formations a game. He's moving guys all across the formation. Like you saw earlier in the game, in the first half, he put Bryson Nesbitt in the pistol position. I've never seen an offensive coordinator do that. He's putting 2 tight ends in the game. He's putting empty packages in the game. He's moving Josh Downs all around the formation. He's doing motions. He's putting Josh Downs in the backfield when paired with a running back. It's just hard for a defense to prepare for that, because they have so many calls, and then they have to have adjustments to each formation. So Longo's doing a great job of mixing things up and really diversifying his formation outlook.
Yeah, you kind of answered. I was going to ask, how does it force the defense? What trouble does it give a defense? So, at some point they're just they haven't seen some of this stuff before, right? So they're adjusting on the fly. And what's the challenge there?
Obviously you see it once. Someone up in the booth is charting it, and they'll try to get it corrected on the sideline. But it's those one hitters where you can catch a defense off guard because they haven't prepared for it and try to exploit them on that play. And then obviously you can see what, we have coaches too. So we see what adjustments they make to it, and then we try to come up with something on the fly to exploit them. So it's cool to see that, he's really, changed his philosophy.
Yeah. And I think it helps to have Josh Downs, who's so versatile, who at this point as a junior can do a lot of different things. And like you mentioned, Bryson Nesbitt, who can do a lot of different things as a versatile tight end. And it leads to our next point about the use of tight ends. Finally, after 2 or 3 games of not doing as much, Bryson Nesbitt was banged up a bit. He steps up, 5 receptions, 63 yards. Drake Maye looked to him a lot early. He was all over the field. And then John Copenhaver, he had 2 big catches. Seems like his catches are always for 20-plus yards. He had 2 catches for 41 yards, kind of bumbling, tumbling down the sideline there. Do you see anything from the tight ends worth really mentioning?
Yeah, earlier in the season, they were very productive. We were throwing them the ball a lot. We were playing a bunch of them, and the same thing happened, this game. In the first drive, I think Bryson had a couple catches. So we're looking to him early and often. He looked healthy. I think he had the big knee brace off his knee.
Mm-hmm.
His strength, the strength of his game is his athletic ability, his catch radius, and just his route running. He's more of like the Travis Kelce tight end versus the Gronk. Like, he's the guy that we need to flex out in space and use his body and his catch radius to beat defenders. So we did that. We flexed him out and threw him the ball. Kamari Morales didn't have any big, like, long catches, but he had some crucial ones across the middle to keep the chains moving. And then Copenhaver, it seems like he always has like 2 for 41 or something. Like, he's got 2 different 20-yard receptions. So it's just and the other thing, we play all 3 of them, so it allows them to stay fresh. If each of them plays, roughly 30 snaps a game in a 90-snap game, then they can give you max effort, and it's good for our offense.
Yeah, Kamari Morales had 2 catches for 12 yards, 3 targets. Copenhaver had 2 targets, 2 catches, and Nesbitt had 6 targets for 5 catches there. All right. Yeah, and it kind of evolves to the point about the wide receivers you wanted to make. You and Drake Maye hit 9 different players for catches, and we had Antoine Green come out of the game with an injury. He was hurt on that targeting play, and he missed the entire second half. And then Josh Downs had like a full body cramp. He said like every part of his body was cramping. So he went out for a series, maybe 2 series, and UNC had receivers step up, and the offense kept clicking.
Yeah, it was a blessing in disguise, I guess, earlier in the season when Josh Downs gets hurt. Antoine Green doesn't start the season because he's hurt. It allowed the guys like Gavin Blackwell and J.J. Jones and Kobe Paysauer to get extra reps with Drake and kind of build that chemistry, because we obviously needed them in those games versus App and Georgia State and stuff. But now that's paying dividends late in the season. When Antoine Green goes out, Gavin Blackwell comes in. The very next play, we throw him the ball. It's not like he goes in and he's a decoy and we're just going to throw to Josh and all the other guys. No, he's a main target in the game. So it's not like we're putting our backups in and not throwing him the ball. He looked really good. I think Drake actually underthrew him twice on deep vertical shots. One was a post and one was an outside fade. But Gavin Blackwell looked good. He beat his defender, and if Drake has a better throw, he probably has 2 touchdowns that are over 40 yards apiece. Kobe Paysauer comes in, has a big catch. So it's just really, our offense has been next man up all year. Like, you see at the receiver position, you see at the tight end position, at the running back position especially. Like, Elijah Green didn't play much earlier in the year, and now he's the only running back that's getting snaps. So it's cool to see that our offense, it's kind of plug and play, and that's a credit to Longo as well.
Yeah, props to those guys, Blackwell, Jones, and Paysauer for stepping up, making some plays. And those are going to be the wide receivers of the future. You don't expect Josh Downs or Green to be here next year. I would think that UNC would try to go out and get a transfer wide receiver just to add some numbers, because they have been low on numbers. But it's going to be J.J. Jones, Kobe Paysauer, and Gavin Blackwell probably as your starters next year. Maybe Andre Green, the true freshman this year. And then Elijah Green, let's talk about him. Elijah Green, 18 carries, 66 yards, 1 touchdown. He showed burst. We were talking about before the show, he had, a stop for no gain, 1 yard, 2 yards, and he'd break off a 8-yard or a 15-yard. He shows more burst. He's not some phenomenal, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams guy, but I thought he looked solid in this game. He's added to the passing game as well. 3 catches for 30 yards, 11-yard long, 4 targets. Definitely a good component of the offense there. What would you like from Elijah Green?
Yeah, so when I first got to Carolina in his freshman year, I really just thought he was a straight line speed guy, could put his foot in the ground and get north and south, and showed great bursts. But he didn't have great vision, in my opinion. He didn't see holes. He wasn't patient. He didn't let things develop, and now he's really gotten better at that. He's slowing his reads down, and then once he sees a hole, he's hitting it downhill, and he hits it quick. So I think his patience and his vision has gotten better, and then his ability to stick his foot in the ground and make somebody miss in the hole. You saw his touchdown run. Wake Forest had an unblocked defender in the hole with not much space, and Elijah puts his foot in the ground, makes one little hesitation move, and the guy doesn't even touch him.
Yeah.
Great
burst. I mean, it is a little bit different than what we saw from Hood or Hampton. I just think he has a little bit more quicker burst out of the hole there, hitting the hole, making some reads, falling forward, maybe not getting you as many yards you'd want, but at least 3 or 4 or 5 yards, you'll take that on every other play. Kind of weird. Hampton's not playing much. George Pettaway is not playing any. Pettaway's in on kickoffs. Will Hardy emerged as a kickoff guy in this game, which was interesting to see. Might ask Mac Brown about that. So yeah, you're seeing Pettaway there. All right, let's get out of here. Players of the game, offensive player of the game. Jeff, you pick, and I'll follow you.
I'll go with Drake. Okay. It's every game. It's either Drake or Josh, and this game was no different. Drake has fully cemented himself in the Heisman campaign, and he's special. I mean, we could harp on all his statistics and everything he does in the game, but we'd just be repeating ourselves each week. But Drake Maye, I think he won National Player of the Week, so he's got to be the UNC game of the week guy.
Yeah, he'll be ACC quarterback of the week too, I imagine, which I think will be his 6th time this year. Josh Downs, I'll go with him. 11 catches. Look, I totaled this up after the game. This thing pull it up here. All right, so Josh Downs' last 4 games. You ready, Jeff?
Yeah.
All right, Duke, 9 catches, 126 yards, no touchdowns. Pitt, 11 catches, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. Virginia, 15 catches, 166 yards, 1 touchdown. And Wake Forest, 11 catches, 154 yards, 3 touchdowns. So in the last 4 games, 46 catches, 548 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, that's a season for some people. Yeah. I mean, that's 4 games. He's blown up coming back off the injury. 11 catches against Wake Forest, 3 touchdowns all in the first half. Coming back, had a big conversion there late in the game to help UNC seal it to get the field goal. So props to him. I mean, he is cocky. He is always talking shit to people. He's counting off his touchdowns, 1, 2, 3. Love Josh Downs. He did the post-game press conference with the Coastal Trophy in his hands. Defensive player of the game, Jeff.
I'm going to go Kamen Rucker.
Okay.
If you look at his stats, I don't know, maybe he had 5 tackles. Nothing big on the stat sheet, but he had a huge impact on the game. He always plays hard as hell. He's just I think the biggest play of the game for him, he had 2. One was the 4th down when Wake was in the red zone and Sam Hartman tried to scramble and we stopped him short. Rucker was the guy that topped off the run and got him down on the ground. And then I think the biggest play he had in the game was on Wake Forest's last drive. He drew a holding call from the offensive tackle. So, Wake's got the ball with, chance to go down and score, and Rucker draws a holding call because he completely whoops the left tackle. And now Wake Forest is backed up and they have 2nd and 20 to go instead of 2nd and 10. And that kind of changes the play calling and how aggressive we can be on defense. And that's kind of an underrated play in the game that Rucker he played a hell of a game. He was disruptive all night.
And I will go Cam Kelly just because the interception was so big. Maybe not the best game. He gets beat a lot, misses some tackles, but the resilience, come back, good for him. The best play of the game. The interception sealed the game for UNC, allowed UNC to get the ball back and kick a field goal. That was the difference in the game. Cam Kelly, props to him. Another interception for the former 4-star prospect. All right, let's get out of here, Jeff. Georgia Tech this weekend, 5:30, odd start time in Chapel Hill on ESPN2, another national game. Georgia Tech's got the intern coach. They've had an okay year since firing Jeff Collins.
Yeah.
Anything to add on this game? I mean, it is kind of like a trap game, I think, in a sense. It's certainly not getting the hype that a Wake Forest did or the hype that NC State did. But at home, UNC, floor is yours.
Yeah, I think this is a trap game, but this will show the maturity of our team, and this is a game we should win by 3 touchdowns. Obviously, we got to go out there and play. But Georgia Tech has kind of had an up and down season. They've won some games they shouldn't have, and they've they've lost some games they probably should have won, and obviously they have their head coach get fired, beginning of the year. It's kind of hard on a team, but I think the last year's game at Georgia Tech is ingrained in a lot of our guys' heads. I know it's in Mac's head. That was one of the worst losses of Coach Brown's second tenure here, and I think he doesn't forget things like that, and he'll want to put his foot on the gas and have a great showing.
Yeah, this is a pad to stat game for Drake Maye and Josh Downs. Run it up, get up by a lot, play some, maybe play some bench players, stay healthy.
Yeah.
But who knows? The way this team is, it might be close come fourth quarter. All right, that'll be it for us. Of course, NC State follows that game. We'll have recaps after every game. Next week is busy, man. Heading to Portland on Wednesday for the PK 85 for the basketball tournament. So it's busy season for us. For Jeff, I'm Ross Martin, Blue Shark Vodka. Appreciate them calling the shots. UNC defeats Wake Forest 36-34, 9-1, Coastal champs. How's that sound, Jeff?
Sounds good, baby. See you guys in Charlotte.
There we go. See you guys
later.